everybody, and welcome to Coffee Chat.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. I didn't say good morning.
You said hello. You threw me there.
I messed up the whole thing. Well, I try to not say the same thing every time, like keep it fresh. And that
we're not Tupperware, okay?
All right. We have
Quick question though.
Okay,
what are you drinking?
Oh,
actually, I'll tell you what I'm drinking first.
Go ahead.
Presently, I'm just drinking black coffee.
Oh, fun.
It's decaf though, so things.
I am drinking a combination of energized reds and true endurance. Gotta remember all the names. By Performance Gains. Yes.
These ones?
Yes, those ones exactly. Well, not exactly the ones I have here.
Oh, right.
I didn't take yours. Anyways, that's a great segue into our special guest for the day. Yeah, we've been bringing on some special guests. Like this is the second one.
We're excited for it. For sure.
We had been doing coffee chats for like a year, and we're like, you know what? We should really branch out and invite some other people on the coffee chat. And so Jonathan Shane is our second guest on the coffee chats. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Oh, yay!
I love the good. That's awesome.
Yes, Shane.
I don't have superpowers, but she does. All right, Jonathan Shane, welcome to our coffee chat.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. This is awesome.
The Keto Road.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
The Keto Road is here. All right. Well, to get started, well, first off, we wanted to say congratulations because we heard there's a new Shane on the road.
Ooh, y'all want to hear something even better that I haven't announced online yet?
Yes, we do.
It's another girl.
What? Yay!
Yeah.
I was hoping for puppies, but I'll take girl is perfect.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you know, people with us, they're like, when are you going to have a boy? When are you going to have a boy? And in my experience, it takes 4 girls before you get to have a boy. So, 2 down, 2 to go.
So that's what's interesting is, so we all, honestly, we thought we were plagued with only boys because my dad had 3 boys and then his daughter. And then my 2 older brothers have only had sons. And then I'm only having chicks.
Yeah. So, it all evens out somewhere.
Hey, I'm a good girl's dad. I like being a girl's dad, so yeah. I'm on for it.
Yeah, my husband, he wasn't sure about it because he's one of only 2 boys, and so he was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. But then you have the daughter, and you're like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. Well, congratulations. That is super exciting.
Yeah.
Listen. It's just a sorority, and you're just the house dad.
Oh, yeah. No. I have no power here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when we got our first dog, we got a male dog because my husband's like, we have to have another male in the house.
Yeah, I always tell, the joke is I'm the only one with testosterone around here. The only guys here are Cooper and Pumpkin, and they're fixed.
Yeah, exactly. They're only half male.
Yeah. You've taken it from them.
Yeah.
They still got the DNA.
Yeah. Real quick, we should say good morning to everyone in the chat. We got a lot of people chatting already. Patty and Sylvia and Cindy and Cheryl and Dee is here from New York. Blaze is here. Pause a lot. I don't know if we can go through everybody. There's a lot of people this morning.
Jared's here.
Oh, and Jared is here. Well, that's wonderful.
Good old Jared.
Our second guest. Now it's officially a pattern. Excellent. Okay. Your superpowers. My goodness.
Mine doesn't work.
Yeah, mine doesn't work either.
And I know why.
Yes. We learned from nerd Chris Bear about why that is. It's because you're
iOS.
The iOS. Whatever.
Oh, it's because she's using an iPhone?
I'm on my iPad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because you have
Yeah. And I have a Mac computer, but it doesn't work on the computer. It only works
Mac OS we've sorted through.
Okay. Yeah. So there's that. So we can all just be jealous of Lindsay's superpowers.
Listen, you got to give me something. That's all I can bring to the table.
Right.
Okay. So to get started, we wanted to just hear your 6-minute story. This was Lindsay's great little turn of phrase here.
6-minute story.
You don't have to go all the way back to,
Conception
or anything, but just tell us how.
Well, I don't remember that anyways, but we'll try.
Well, the whole idea is that like a 60-second story is way too fast to be able to like get it all in. It feels like tremendous pressure. 5 minutes feels like an eternity. 6 minutes feels like a realistic amount of time, and you can kind of process through like the things you want to say without like having to go into tremendous detail. It's up to 6
So are we
minutes.
going to start a stopwatch or?
I am all about the stopwatch.
I already have mine up. I'm ready. I was gonna go. What can we get out in 6 minutes?
Yeah.
All right.
So ready?
Okay, but can I give a tiny bit of like maybe direction perhaps? Okay, first of all, kind of like how you came to be the Keto Road, and then how you came to design your own business and become an entrepreneur, that kind of thing. So
yeah. And if you need more than 6 minutes, it's okay. Go.
Okay, I haven't touched it yet. I'll keep. Okay.
Go.
All right, so now I feel like I have to talk fast, but I don't because I have 6 minutes. Nice.
That's right.
Good. Nice. So really, to understand why I became the Keto Road, you only really have to back up to when I was 14. So I was 14. I was an emotional eater growing up for a lot of different reasons. But needless to say, when I was 14, I was like 260 pounds. In fact, I think the heaviest I've ever weighed in my life was 259. It was on a scale at the hospital. I was 14. And the doctor just kind of basically, I mean, honestly, I forget her name, but I'll never forget her face. She looked at me and she's like, "You're killing yourself, John." And I'm like, "Whoa," who says that to a 14-year-old? But it was so good. It was a good smack in the face I needed. So I went home that day and like ran 2 miles and was like, I'm going to start losing weight. So I lost all the weight. My big issue though was, that I had a lot of like self-image issues, self-love issues, self-acceptance issues. And I was bullied a lot too. And I egg some of it on myself. Like I'm part of that equation because I would rather have had negative attention than no attention at all. So like I'd make fun of myself too. Like I egged it on for sure. But they stopped making fun of me, unfortunately, when I lost the weight because like there was nothing to make fun of, right? And so I equated like social acceptance with like being fit, being in shape. And I was dieting in a really unhealthy way, very crash diety. And so I had all these binge tendencies. I kept like having binge tendencies. I kept binging and getting scared. And so I ended up developing really severe bulimia because I didn't want to gain weight, but I couldn't control my eating habits because I didn't understand jack about nutrition at the time. I was fascinated with it, loved working out, loved drinking protein shakes, all the bro sciencey stuff. I just didn't know what I was doing. So that lingered on until I was married even, probably. So fast forward from the time I was 16, I'd say about 15, 16 is when I developed bulimia really bad. I went from 259 down to 175. So I lost almost 100 pounds over the course of like 18 months. Developed bulimia really bad. Started to look really sickly and stuff. I have some photos. I look like skin and bones. It's so bizarre to look at now. And then fast forward to I'm 22, 23, and I'm doing my yo-yo dieting thing. I still love fitness. I've been a personal trainer a couple times. Like I still love this stuff. I just don't really understand it fully. And came across keto on Facebook, and I was like, "Ooh, this is cool!" And fun fact, I actually had tried it prior to that, and like I think this was 2017. I tried it in 2015, back when no one knew what it was. Like Keto Bar, the brand had just came out. But like for me, it was like Keto Bar, Jif peanut butter, and like black coffee, and it was terrible, and I felt miserable. I knew nothing about electrolytes or anything. And so 2017, I saw a Facebook ad, tried it, loved it, fell in love with it. Wanted to start sharing that with other people because it helped me get over my bulimia. Right? I've been bulimia free since September of 2018. So what is this year? I just passed the 5-year milestone. And thank you. And so I just started sharing about it, and that's what turned me into the Keto Road because the Keto Road, like it's me, like I am the Keto Road, but the idea behind the Keto Road is like everybody has a keto road, everybody has a road, everybody has a life, right? And the way you do keto might be different than me because we drive different cars and we live on different roads and we take different paths. And so like the Keto Road is everybody has their own keto road, right? It's synonymous with everybody. So that's kind of how that journey happened. The entrepreneurship was more of me really tapping into my self-confidence and my self-creative flow. Like I started doing keto coaching, and this was after I became the Keto Road. I remember when I had 400 followers on Instagram and no one knew who I was. I remember first time going to KetoCon and like all that stuff. And I was working for somebody else doing coaching, and I was working a full-time job. And I just got to a point where I was like, I really wanted to show that I believed in myself by taking a risk on myself. And so I quit my 9 to 5. And then I just worked for the guy I worked for as a coach for a while. And it was good, but there was a cap on my ability to, and I think this goes with any employee. When you're an employee, there's a cap of your ability to be creative and to flow freely. Yep. And for me, I wanted to see what I could do if I was just left to my own devices, and my mission and my passions. And they started to develop and go in different directions than the company I was working for in some ways. And so I decided to take that leap. And so I started the Keto Road LLC, my own coaching company, in October of 2019. And then that went on. I mean, I've been doing that for going on 4.5 years now. Wow. And then, so that happened. And then I was taking some supplement powders for my running, which is like a whole nother conversation, but I got into running and I was taking supplements, and I really liked a lot of the supplements I was taking. One was specifically a Reds powder. And I'd always wanted, coaching is cool because I get to impact people one-on-one. Unless you are just one of those lucky people that just has a lot of money to put into ads and create digital and pay people to make you digital products that you can like start cycling through and make passive income. It being like the number one source of income for you is super difficult, like long-term, maybe short-term, couple years, but like 30 years down the road, it's not like, unless you just go with the flow and you're constantly changing who you are and your identity to fit the masses and you're not really being authentic. Mm-hmm. It's really hard for like one-on-one coaching to be like your main source of income for 3-4 decades. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to find something that could make raw, real, solid impact across the masses. And so I'd always thought about starting a supplement company, and I was drinking some of these products I was drinking, and I was like, I like what this does, but I don't like what's in it. This could be done better. And I was like, why don't I just make it myself? And so that's when Performance Games was born out of that. And so first product we made was Energized Reds, and then we came out and unveiled the True Endurance pre-workout, and we got many more coming. But I started that company in January of 2022. So and we launched our first product in January of 2023. So we've been actually like giving out product. We've been selling product for right about a year now.
Yeah.
6
awesome.
minutes.
Nice.
That
was awesome. You did it. Good job.
So I feel like the 6-minute story is a solid.
It wasn't bad. I was like, I hope I have more time. I looked down, it was only 4:30, and I was like, I have a whole nother 90 seconds.
Right?
Awesome. Okay, I have a question for you. When I was looking at your Instagram profile, I saw in your tagline you put in strength runner.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? That's not a term I've heard before.
Yeah, so it wasn't a term I heard until probably 4 or 5 months ago. So you have like what's called a hybrid athlete, and those people, like that's really popular right now. It's like, oh, the guy that lifts a lot of weights and then can run a really fast 5K or 10K.
So like CrossFit type?
No, because most CrossFit people won't run over 10 miles. Okay. Like that's not a thing. So like a hybrid athlete is just someone that can go run a half marathon if they want to, and then go like a guy can go run a half marathon and then go squat 300 pounds. Like that, he's not the expert on either, but he's like decent at both, like noticeably decent at both, or her. Whereas a strength runner is more of someone that's focused more on running, but just happens to be able to lift heavy stuff. So like I wouldn't consider myself a hybrid athlete because running takes a lot more of my attention always than strength training does. But like I can lift pretty heavy crap when I want to. And so I'm like a runner that's strong. So like a strength runner. I don't know. It's a term I heard I saw it on someone's profile once. I was like, what is a strength runner? And I Googled it. I was like, this is me. Me is it. This is cool.
Well, I like it because like, I think when I think of runner, I think of, super thin, very, very lean people, and they can run very far. But like you said, doesn't necessarily mean they can go lift a bunch of heavy weight at right after. And I think both are probably good and important. So I really like that. It caught my eye.
Yeah, my favorite thing, and this is totally vanity. I'll just be honest about it. Is when I go to like check in for a race and like all the little guys are like checking, because like they do that. Runners do that when we're like all signing in to get our bibs. We're all like checking out that we're seeing like, okay, who am I racing against? And I always know when they look at me, they're like, oh, he's one of these big guys. He's just out here to have fun. My favorite thing is like mile 45. And they're like struggling.
Wow.
I just eat my dust.
Yeah. So do you think that the strength training that you do helps you with the running?
1000% for three main reasons. One, it prevents injury because it creates a stimulus and a strain that is good for joints. It's good for your trunk muscles. It's good for everything, all the stabilization that you need for running. So I think it prevents injury. I think it helps with muscle mass endurance. And so like I've noticed in the shorter distances right now, like we're talking like if I was going to start racing half marathons, I would need to lose some muscle. Like I'm too heavy to be as fast as I would need to be for that distance. But the farther you get out, the more muscle tissue can come in handy when it comes to your body not wearing and tearing as quickly. And there's a balance too, because if you have too much weight, then you're exhausting, you're using excess energy for no reason. So like there's a balance there. That's why like you either see like there's three kinds of runners you see in ultras. You see really scrawny, you see skinny fat, or you see absolutely shredded, right? You never see like big and jacked, because either it's a really muscular guy that just basically cut all the fat off of his body, so he didn't have that excess weight, and so he's like 170, but he's just shredded out of his mind. Yeah. Or you have like the skinny fat guy that's like 172, but he doesn't have a lot of muscle, but he's light enough to where the extra excess body adipose tissue doesn't bother him. Or you have someone that's just naturally really lean. So there's the muscle endurance. And then the third one, which is probably the most important, is bone density. So a lot of runners have really bad bone density because they put a lot of stress on their bones from the bottom, but they never like strain or load their skeletal structure from the top. And so like lifting heavy weights, deadlifts, back squats, things like that can be super good for bone structure and durability. So I think a lot of runners, I don't think they need to work out 6 days. Like I work out 3 days a week. I don't work out 6 days a week. But so you don't have to go crazy, but I think an intentional amount is good.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I found when I started doing more yoga recently, I was able to do yoga better because I had been strength training. And it was like I got better at yoga doing strength training than I've ever gotten just doing more yoga.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was similar with running. And I hear it's like a balance where it's like you don't want to just get so muscular that you're carrying around that excess weight. Like there's a saying, and I'm gonna butcher it completely, but there's like some people are built to run far, some people are built to lift heavy things, and anyways, and so you can kind of pick and choose. Like in this season, I want to run a half marathon or whatever it is, and then you train for that, or I want to just be extra strong and you train for that, and you don't have to do it all at once. Sounds like.
Yes. Although when you said that quote, I was like, that would make a great reel, where like there's an audio of some like old guy going like, they say, either you're too, or some people are built to run far and some people are built to lift heavy weights. But me, I do both. And then it's like jump level, like this dude, like just going nuts on a bar and then like finishing it like, yeah, it'd be a great video.
Oh, that would be awesome. Okay, so
you better write that down.
Yeah.
That's all I do during these things is just take notes.
Okay, so really, I wanted to have you on. Well, first of all, because we love chatting with you, and
definitely
we absolutely enjoyed getting to know you at KetoCon a little bit, and then since then getting to know you more and your products. So of course we want to have you on, just have you on. But also,
she's got an ulterior.
There's something else. I signed up to run a 10K, and I announced this on a live stream a couple weeks ago. And I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner. I don't think I'm built like a natural runner.
I never say that.
Okay, all right. See, that's good, because that's one of those defeater beliefs where it's just like that's just not who I am. But I'm trying to like get out of my comfort zone. a friend who I've started working out with, she signed up for it, and I'm like, and she's like, you should do it too. And I'm like, if she hadn't assigned, talked me into it, I wouldn't have done it, but she did. So here I am. And it's in it's in about 2.5 months. It's going to be the day before I turn 40. So I'm going to run a 10K before I turn 40.
Nice.
I've never even run a 5K. Like,
you haven't? You haven't ran a 5K?
No.
What's the farthest you've ever ran?
I've never tracked it. Like, running has never been a thing that I did. I mean, I've run a couple miles.
How far away is the race from now?
2.5 months.
Oh, you got time. We'll be all right.
So that's I'm like, I got my notepad here. I'm going to take notes, and I want to know, I'm almost 40. I'm a woman. You know all about women's hormones and stuff. And I do strength train, and I have been for the last about 4 months doing pretty hardcore full body workouts twice a week, like HIIT training and weights and stuff like that. So I'm pretty I'm more in shape than I was a few months ago. I'll just say that. I'm not going to say I'm super in shape, but I'm more in shape than I was. How would you go about training for a 10K or having someone in my position training for a 10K?
My position. Also, I love that everybody pulled out their notebook
in life.
I'm coaching. I'm titling this page "Coaching Session with Neely."
Yeah, see, that's what I wanted. It's like, just bring you on. We'll just do a coaching session.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things going on, and the good thing though, like nutritionally. So I like to go nutrition first, then training. Nutritionally, 10K isn't far enough to where we have to get super crazy about changing what you're doing nutritionally. Okay. There are some signs and symptoms to look for, and we'll go over that. But so if you go past that, like say you start training for half marathons, especially at your age, being a woman and having to consider those things when it comes to like your cycle, hormones, all that jazz, things can get a little bit different, right? Keto looks a little bit different for an endurance athlete. I talk about this a lot. And so knowing what that looks like is important. But at a 6 miles, so the thing is that during your training, you'll never run more than 7 miles, like for training for a 10K, like just to be able to do one. Right now, if you were like, okay, I want to run like a sub 40 minute. Okay, well now we might have to put in some work. But
my only goal is to survive it. So
yeah, so survive it. That's like, I mean, it's not going to be easy. Obviously, like running takes work regardless of the distance.
Yes.
But nutritionally, you don't have to get super crazy at all. You just have to make sure. Here's the important parts, because this kind of runs with nutrition, is your electrolytes. You have to make sure you're getting plenty of electrolytes, and account for the electrolytes you remove while you're doing your runs. So like a lot of people will do like 1 scoop of Redmond Reelite or Energized Reds or True Endurance, right? Whatever they do to get their electrolytes in. And then they'll start running, and they won't change the amount of electrolytes they intake. But you have to think, you probably sweat out anywhere from 700 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium per hour of running. So if you're doing like a 3-mile run, that's going to take you from 30 to 45 minutes. So that's another scoop of Reds, or like something with like 500 milligrams of sodium in it that you need to add to what you've currently been doing, or you're going to be sodium depleted throughout the day. You're going to feel tired and miserable, right? So replacing your electrolytes is super important. Getting in enough protein so you can recover. So you hear the whole like 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight.
Right.
When people are no,
no, I mean, like, that's not enough.
no, not for a runner. No. Okay. Especially if you're cross training, if you're like lifting weights and stuff too, you need to up it to about 1.5 grams per pound. So like, I weigh 186-ish pounds. And I probably eat about 230 to 240 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
If I wasn't running as much, it would go down, but
yeah, I already eat a pretty high amount of protein, so I'll calculate it out, but I think I'm probably pretty good on that one.
Perfect. As far as fats go, try to keep your fats at least 100 grams a day. Okay. Now, as far as carbs, again, because you're not running a very long distance, you don't have to get super crazy. Here are some things that I would look out for, though, if you do need some, because you are cross training, you are doing yoga, and you're running, so there's some extra stressors there. Plus, you have to consider, right, like just because you're a woman, like things with your cycle, things like that, that all adds on top. So like just considering all that in the equation. Stress joints, like painful joints, like if your joints hurt, that's a big one. Muscle achiness and like dryness. I don't know how to explain muscle dryness, but you'll feel it, and you'll know what it is when you feel it. your muscles just don't stretch like they should. Like things just feel like stiff for no reason. It's not even like soreness. Like it's not painful. It's like you feel like a rusty tin can. You're like, like it's dryness to your muscle. That's lack of estrogen because cortisol is too high. So it's like suppressing all your sex hormones.
Okay.
Cortisol also strips protein from your joints. So that's why like painful joints is something that's super important to look out for. So I would say stressful joints, dry muscles, lack of recovery, even with so if you're eating your protein intake and you're not recovering, you're still sore all the time, or you're hurting, you need to add carbs in, because that means that you're not sore because of a lack of protein. You're sore because of a lack of glycogen replenishment.
Okay.
Right? That's why I tell people, like, if you're sore, eat protein first, and make sure you're hitting your 100 grams of fat a day at least. And if you're still sore, it's because you're having a glycogen issue, and so your muscles are still inflamed. And so adding some carbs can be beneficial. So it's
what's a normal amount of soreness? Because soreness is normal, right?
Yeah. Soreness.
Can you describe like what would be normal versus what would be too much?
So like, let's say that you do a run and you have a leg workout on Monday. If by Thursday your legs are still hurting, that's a problem.
Okay.
Right. Right. Like people, you should be able to recover within 24 to 48 hours. If you're not, something's amiss. Okay. Which is another sign that you're not, you might need to add carbohydrates in, is if your sleep sucks.
Okay.
Right. So now, mind you, though, those are all things that you want to make sure you're hitting all the other things we talked about first. So I always say, like, carbs should never be a Band-Aid to a wound that needs stitches. Right. They're not essential, but they can be productive or optimal. So it'd be right. Yeah. So like, are you hitting your protein goal? Are you hitting your fat goal? Are you taking time away from screens before bed? Are you like trying to capitalize sleep and recovery? Are you taking your electrolytes? All that. If all that's happening and then you're still experiencing those symptoms, that's when you're like, okay, I think I need to add some carbohydrates into my days. The best way to do that, honestly, is to, especially with like training for a 10K, most of your training sessions are going to be less than 3-4 miles. So like you're not going to be, and they're going to be really low intensity, like zone 2 training, zone 3, which we'll get into in a second. So like you're not going to need to like eat probably beforehand. You'll probably be able to do them fasted.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because usually I'm, doing it right when I wake up in the morning, like 6 a.m.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. But like, yeah, for the most part, like you won't need carbs, but afterwards is when you would have them to like replenish whatever you burn through. So like, and what I would do is, because what do you normally eat right now carb wise? Like 20 grams?
It's usually like 30 to 40.
30 to 40. So what I would do is I would keep that the way it is. And then I would have what's called my post-run carbs. So like those are separate from your daily carbs. So, and I would have like 30 to 40 grams of just like post-training carb or post-run carbs. So like, a bowl of like blueberries or whatever thing that you always avoid, like trauma-inducing food. So like if like you've ever binged on, like, I would say if you've binged on bananas, don't eat bananas, right? Like find it.
Sure. About raw milk as a carb.
So yes and no. Like the thing is that it's super high in fat and protein too, which isn't a bad thing. But also the only sugar in it is lactose, which isn't. It's more of like a gut carbohydrate. It's not like it's not the best. Like glucose is the best, and the most natural form of glucose is in fruit. And you have some fructose, but like fruit's like 10% fructose. It's actually not like as much fructose as people say it is.
Sure.
Yeah. So fruit tubers are fine. Also, like if you just want something quick, you could some people take they'll take like raw milk, like a cup of raw milk. Now this is sweet though, but they do it, like animal-based people. They'll do like a cup of milk, and they'll put like quarter cup of pure maple syrup in it, and that will be the carbs. And they'll just spit it back.
Yeah.
That works.
Honey
it works.
Honey as well. Would that work?
Honey works as well. Yeah, it's like, well, I think it's 60 grams of maple syrup is like 58 carbs. So like you do like 40 grams of it's 40 carbs, or like you do like 30 with like the 10 grams from the milk, and boom, you got your 40 carbs for the day.
There you go.
Yeah.
If I was going to eat 40 carbs in a sitting, I'd probably want to enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah. Like what I do is I get a bowl and I put like organic grapes, organic blueberries, and like organic apple, and I put it all in one bowl, and I just eat that whole bowl, and it's always like 40 to 50 carbs every time.
So when you do that with the carbs post exercise, do you recommend having that be like a lower fat type meal?
Yeah.
So to not to combine carbs and fat so much?
So yes and no, like a little bit. Like if you want to have a little bit of fat, like I'm not saying you can't. Like if you're like, ooh, I want like 3 apples, I would love some almond butter with this. Like I'm not saying you can't have a little bit of almond butter with it, but like I don't think you should make like sauteed apples and like a half cup of butter. Like I don't think it should be like a crazy amount of fat, because there is something to like blunting the blood sugar response just a little bit. Lindsay's comment, that's funny. No, I could not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the ability to like get the carbs in a way that regulates your blood sugar is important. But I will say this, and this is a hill I'm willing to die on. Glycemic index is not near as important as glycemic load. Not when you're post-trained. Like when you're post-training and you're trying to be strategic with carbs, like the amount your blood sugar goes up within the first 2 hours is not near as important to me as, okay, 2 hours after your meal, are you stable?
Okay.
If you're stable 2 hours after, I could care less what it did in between.
Okay.
Because what a lot of people do is their bodies are really stressed, but they won't, let's say they do need carbohydrates, they're training a lot, or, they have a really intense cycle or whatever's going on, and they won't eat any carbs because they're told not to. And what happens is they eat something else, and eat a lot of protein. And so the blood sugar only goes up 15 points, but it stays 15 points higher for 9 hours straight. Like it never goes back to baseline.
Right.
That is, in my opinion, way worse than a spike in a baseline, because that is what leads to chronically high insulin, because your insulin's leaching all day, right? And it's never actually regulating. Like it's never regulating. And so I care much more about the load than I do the spike. So like, whereas, you can add some fat and protein to your carbs post run, and protein's good because you need the protein, right? So I would say you could do like, I know people that do ground beef and blueberries. I have no idea if it's good or not, but people like.
I like pemmican.
Yeah. Kind of like pemmican, yeah. But yeah, so that's what I would do. And that's all. And again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, unless you're seeing the symptoms.
Okay. So like do the 30 to 40 grams of carbs post workout if I start noticing the dry muscles and the
achy joints, bad sleep, extra soreness, achy joints. Ooh, mood swings too, and low libido. Not to get super fast, but that's
good.
It's important.
Yeah. Is there any difference, just real quick, is there any difference with a morning workout versus an evening workout in what you would eat after? Because some of my workouts are like 5:30 in the evening.
No, not afterwards. Before. So if you're gonna have like a training in the morning, if you want to, especially as your body's getting used to using fat as an endurance athlete, even though you've been keto for a while, you could have like a fatty coffee about 30 minutes before you run or whatever.
Yeah.
Or just go into it after some electrolytes or some true endurance.
I usually do the true endurance. I mix the true endurance and the energized reds. That's my favorite. Yeah.
I love that. And then, but if you do it at night, you want to give your body time to digest the food you've eaten all day. So I would try, let's say I have to run at like 8 p.m. I'll stop eating around 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. That
about 3 or 4 hours because I hate running with food on my stomach.
Sure,
it's the most miserable feeling. It's weird though, because I'm in the middle of like a 50-mile race and I'll eat like once I'm in it, but like starting a run on a full stomach, that bothers me.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Then after, if I need a meal, then it would be the same kind of thing. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Nutrition, we good? Any questions?
Yeah, I think so.
Can we take a pause and kind of go through our chat here for a second?
Yes.
I'm getting so much good information. I'm just like,
I know. I've had like ideas spurn on. I've got like 4 cards worth of notes here already.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. So this is from Julie. Love hearing Jonathan's story. I love endurance Is that probably the energized reds and
True endurance?
Yeah. I live in Oklahoma and was wondering why my product has become hard. Moving to Florida and afraid the humidity will do the same.
Okay, so if you've left the lid, so you have to understand that our products are very clean. We put like no like extra preservatives in it. And so you get that it's kind of like it's one of the cons for the pro, right? If you don't want dryness and no clumping, then you're going to get a product that has a lot of stuff that you're not necessarily in favor of when it comes to ingesting it. Versus if you want a really clean product, it tends to have a little bit of clumping and dryness. Exposure to moisture can do that. I wouldn't worry about the humidity if A, you keep the lid very tight, and 2, you use it within, like, for example, it has 25 servings. If it's taking you 3 months to get through the bottle, you're probably like Redmond Relight does that too. Like if I buy a bottle of Redmond Relight and it has 30 servings and it, it tells me to take it once a day, and 90 days later I open the bottle and it's clumpy. Well, I didn't necessarily use it within the time frame that it specifies in the directions, right? Because if I did, I would have been done with it in 30 days. And so I always tell people, like, try not to let it, use it. Try not to let it last too long, because just as a more natural product, it's going to clump up regardless of where you live.
Yeah.
I find that happens whenever you buy like a variety of different flavors and then you just like flavor hop.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you've got 4 bottles open.
Have you ever thought about doing the individuals packet thing?
Yeah, I have. It's just expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's like figuring out, like I was talking to my partner yesterday. It's like when you're as small as we are, the amount of orders you have coming in, all that, it's so volatile. Because it's like no one knows who you are, and so you get like a little shout out here, a little video there, a launch there, and like you sell like a X amount of bottles, and then it goes to like nothing for weeks, and then because you have to make more orders, and like it's just like it's so volatile that it's hard to put us in a position where we're like, okay, now we can add that cool thing, we can add single serve pouches, but I'm looking into it
so that we can get it moving.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, come on.
Lindsey, did you see any other questions that I've missed?
That was the one that really kind of popped out into my brain. But hi to everybody who has popped in since Jonathan started sharing his information, and this coaching like on the fly thing is really cool. So if you know anybody who would appreciate just sort of hearing a coach's perspective on this particular goal, we would love for you to share it out so that they might be able to glean some of the wisdom that Jane Shane has for us.
Infinitely Blessed says that they ran a marathon a few years ago and it was fun, and they would get really relaxed after the first few miles. Do you get that, like the runner's high type thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So what I've noticed with marathons and halves is usually it's like the first 3 or 4 miles is like, so the first mile or two you're really excited, and then like the first 3 or 4 like it sets in that you're running really fast. And you're like, okay, I can do this. And then there's like a 5 to 6 mile bliss moment where you're just like, everybody's cheering, you're talking to people. And then like you get past that, and then you get into what's called the pain cave. And that's when like it sets in. You're like, what the heck did I get myself into? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I have to finish. I don't want to be a wuss. I'm almost there. It's like, yeah. So it goes, oh crap.
Well, my goal is to get a runner's high for once in my life, because I don't think I've ever gotten there.
I think you can do it. I think runner's highs happen when you're, and this is just a theory, when your zone 2 gets high enough, meaning like the pace that you can do at a certain low heart rate, when your zone 2 pace gets high enough that you can run and it feels effortless. Okay. That's when you really hit that bliss point.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, like yesterday I ran 8 miles, and like 4 of them I forgot what I was doing. I was thinking about something. I started daydreaming, and I looked down and I'm crazy. I'm almost done already. Like I completely didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that really. So with exercise for me, because I've just in the last like 4 months gotten really consistent with it and kind of pushed my limits. And I found that when I first started, I had like a fight or flight response in my mind. Like when we do like HIIT training and it'd be, at the 30-second mark of this really intense, and it would be like my body saying, you're going to die. Like you can't, it was something in my brain that was like stopping me. And okay. I feel like I've broken past that. Like it felt really good when I realized like I'm doing these mountain climbers or burpees or whatever, and I'm not having that mental response. And so that was really, really encouraging when I noticed that was happening. And I imagine it's similar with the running when you get to that point. Yeah. Where, and because for me, like once I get to, a mile, I'm like, I'm dying here, and I need to get to the point where my endurance, I guess, is just built up enough that it's not, going to kill me.
Yeah. It never really stops either. Like just today I'm practicing for my next marathon pace. And first I was like super nervous. And then like about 3 miles in, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. Okay, I can do this. Right. Okay. And it's like, so that never stops as you like your goals get bigger. Like you always have those moments like, can I do this? And like, oh, yay, I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels good when you break through that, where something you didn't really think you could do, or your mind was, stopping you. And then it does feel really good. So
Yeah, absolutely.
anyways, I don't see any more questions. Okay.
I do.
Do you see one?
One,
Oh,
One Hope for All had a quick question about clumpy electrolyte powder. We were just discussing how any of your powdered mixes that don't have chemical preservatives in them can absorb that moisture from the air if they're not sealed down well, or if it's like super humid and you leave the lid off for an extended period of time, or they've been open for several months. They can start to become more like a rock and less like a scoopable powder. So that was more or less what we were talking about.
And on that, you can always take those powders and put them in a food processor and break it right back up and dump it in the container again.
Because it doesn't ruin the product, like the effectiveness of it. It's just a little more difficult to deal with.
I also had the thought, like, could we turn them into like little cubes, little
like sugar cubes,
electrolyte cubes,
and chicken bouillon, true bouillon, true endurance bouillon,
endurance bouillon cubes into the hot water, and it makes your true endurance tea, and you go off and.
I told my husband that we need to start our own company, and that our thing could be electrolyte cubes, or whatever. It's like nobody's doing it. It's
it's genius. I like it.
All right. So we talked about nutrition, training. I want whatever you want to talk about next, but I'm interested in like the training regimen. Like, what do you recommend? Like just Couch to 5K program, like.
So a Couch to 5K program is great. And I because I have clients that I just teach them nutrition, and then I have clients that I build their running plan for them as well. So it really depends on what they need. So I can like give you like a pretty basic running plan if you want it.
Sure.
Because you're 8 weeks out. So what I would do is I would run 4 days a week. Okay. So the first week you're going to do, so it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. You want 2 back to back just so you can work on running on slightly tired legs. So the first week I would do 2 miles on each day. And then every week after this, the miles on Saturday go up by 1 mile. So like this week it's 2, 2, 2, 2. Next week is 2, 2, 2, 3. Week after that is 2, 2, 2, 4. And that just goes up until it'll get all the way up to 6 miles. Or no, yeah, because you don't have to taper for more than a week on a 10K. So yes, you would go up actually to 7 weeks. So your last week would be the week before the race, and you would do 2, 2, 2, 7.
Okay.
And then you would basically not do any running the week after that until Friday. You would do 2 miles, and then you would race. And that's a real bare bones plan of just getting ready for the training. What's really important is not that, but your heart rate during that. Okay. Right. So the best way to get faster is to run slower. I know that sounds dumb. Hear me out. Okay. 180 minus your age, right? So 39. So 180 minus 39 is, hold on, don't tell me. 31. Wait, 41. 41. 141. 141. Yeah. So you want your heart rate during those runs to be less than that.
Okay.
Okay. Except for Saturday. Saturday, it can get 15 beats per minute higher than that. So it can get up to 156 because that's like your race heart rate.
Okay.
Okay. So like, yeah. And that's like literally that plus your training plus your yoga, that's what I would do. And I guarantee you'll be able to run a 10K. No problem. Well, think about it too, because you'll run a 10K the weekend before the 10K.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. But the thing is that will be on more tired legs. So when you actually race, you'll have fresh legs, you'll have adrenaline, you'll be excited. It's a whole nother thing. Also, your weight training needs to stop. I would say, and this is like if you want to make it the best possible scenario for performance, I would stop the weight training about the Wednesday before the race. So like if the race is on Saturday, then not the Wednesday before that Saturday, but the Wednesday. So like 10 days before race day.
10 days. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for like me, like with my, like I have a marathon coming up, I will stop weightlifting like the Monday. So like what? Yeah. So like probably like 12 or 13 days before my race, I'll just stop lifting weights.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's studies behind that of like 2 weeks is a good time to like let your body, because your muscle fibers, they take a lot longer to heal than people think they do, especially like from like the minor tears. And so giving your body enough time to be fully fresh for the race is good.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Very cool.
That's what I would do.
Rock solid advice.
Yeah. Seriously. Let's see.
Crush it. You're gonna crush it. Lindsey, you gonna do one?
Yeah, come on, Lindsey.
Don't be a sucker.
So here's the thing.
Oh. There's a thing. What's the thing?
There's the thing.
There's always
I can't be pressured into this.
You can't get pressured into it?
I can't be pressured.
Well, we don't want you to do it.
You can berate me all you want.
Yeah, we don't want you to do it. You probably wouldn't.
Yeah, you probably can't do it
That's
anyway.
so great that you came on board with my line of thinking. I love it.
What if let's just sign, get her, you have her information, right? Well, I'll pay for it. We'll just sign her up for one and she'll just get the email.
There
That's
you go.
so cute that you think I would show up for something that somebody randomly signs me up for. I don't feel obligations.
But
like
we
that.
paid for it, Lindsey. You have to.
Yeah, don't be mean. Be a
I
good
didn't
friend.
sign on a dotted line.
Be a good friend.
Let's see.
So One Hope for All did mention a solution she uses to keep her powdered drink mixes from getting clumpy, and that is that she adds a desiccant packet and then pops it into the fridge. It's a great suggestion. I know most of these powders do already come with a desiccant packet, so adding one more definitely will help absorb any, unintentional moisture getting into there. So
Nice.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can send me your bill for the coaching session.
Oh, whatever.
So I did have a question for myself, because I'm not somebody who has the desire to become a runner. That's not at all like where my heart goes. And it's not really how I want to spend my time. Sure. So would you have any suggestions for someone who doesn't want to become a runner to be able to have like the cardio, the cardio piece of it without it being the largest chunk of your time? Because to me, I hear running and I hear ultra marathon runners, and I think the time commitment is massive. Yes. And I'm already sitting in a place where my time is in little snippets here and there, rather than being able to consolidate it all into one lump sum.
So your best friend is Tabata workouts, like HIIT workouts. I mean, I can literally email you like 3 of them that I do, because that's what I do. So I run, and then most of my lifts at the gym are Tabatas, and then like I'll choose a compound lift. So like I'll do like a 20-minute Tabata workout, and then I'll do heavy squats, and then the next day is 20-minute Tabata, and then like heavy bench press or whatever. But yeah, like my workouts are only like 30 to 40 minutes long. I don't work out that long. But yeah, so Tabata workouts are great. Do you know what those are?
I do. Yeah. I remember whenever Billy Blanks used to actually put those videos out. Yeah.
So they're great if you do them right. So the trick with Tabata that I love is when you incorporate resistance training in the workout.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, so you do that 2 to 3 times a week, and then 2 times a week, you just do like regular, like weightlifting. Your cardio will, and then I would say like probably every 2 or 3 weeks, go for a long hike. You'll be fine.
Well, I
mean, I just have to get. Oh, go ahead.
What I've been doing basically, like the full body workouts that I've been doing. She does like 20 minutes of Tabata to start, and then we do like weight lifting after that. So I'm like, yes, doing the right thing here.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, Lindsey, what were you saying?
So here recently, I just celebrated 8 years following a keto-friendly lifestyle. And to me, that was such a huge deal, because I can't be consistent with 98% of anything else that I do in my life. Family, husband, my relationship with Jesus, and keto. Like, those are the things that I can be consistent with in my life. I can't be consistent with working out, or, I get excited about a thing. It's a new shiny thing. And then trying to stick with it for longer than about 28 minutes. It's a real process. So my first objective is to just be consistent with increasing my consistency, I guess. with working out, because that has been my number one struggle, or like the number one thing that I know would improve my health markers overall, that I just cannot seem to grab hold of and take control over.
Yeah, I think that one thing that I think is actually wrongly stated is people will tell people like, well, just keep doing it, you'll fall in love with it, or like find a reason you love it. And I think it's okay that for some people, like some people can work out for decades and never like love working out. Right? I think it's the wrong approach, because people like look for that and they don't get it and they're like, eh. And I always say like really it's more about remembering what you're trying to get out of it and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Because like there are days I don't want to run. Or don't get me wrong, I love running, but there are days I do not want to run. Trust me.
Yeah.
When your legs are killing you and you have to wake up to like and run 15 miles, you don't want to do it. Right.
Yeah.
So I get up and I remember why I'm doing it and I make myself do it. And so I think that we don't treat working out the same as we do other disciplines in our life, because we're told it's something that we're just supposed to like love or like, you know, struggle with it. It's kind of like it's like a subconscious thing. It's like either we love it or we're going to struggle with it. And it's like, no, like it's just something that you need to do. Like working out needs to be something that people need to do. I think one of the greatest, I understand why it was said, but one of the greatest, I don't want to say deceits. That's not the right word. But one of the greatest errors in the keto low carb space is telling people that you don't have to lift weights to lose weight. Like,
right.
And not because that's not true, but because it made it to where weightlifting was not a discipline that you needed to have for a long, healthy life. And it is, right? No, you don't have to do it to lose the weight, but you want to maintain weight loss. You want to have longevity. You want to be able to not have knee pain and be able to run around with your grandkids and be a healthy, spry person as you get older. And we're made to move. We're made to lift things.
Yeah. Question here.
Good stuff.
From Sing It was, is walking, jogging, running, or sprinting better for stage 2 lipedema? Do you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, sprinting. Jogging is really inflammatory, and if you're not in a good place, it's not necessarily gonna make it worse, but it's definitely not going to improve it. Whereas sprinting is less inflammatory, and it's also a power movement, and so it can help with building muscle, which will help with lipedema areas, just in terms of like tonnage, muscle tonnage, things like that as you progress in your weight loss and health journey. So I would definitely just focus on sprints. And then when you get to a point where like it's not really an issue, right, and it goes away and you get it managed, then yeah, you can definitely take up like jogging long distances. That's something you want to do. But I would say if you're like trying to choose one just so you can like do something that might help, I would go with sprints.
Yeah, that's very cool. Okay.
And sprinting means like doing that a certain amount of time on one day and then resting for 7 days, or does it mean like
I would say like you could like sprint probably 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
The thing is it's a lot shorter, right? So like whereas like I'll go and run 6-7 miles or 2 or 3 miles, you go out there and you do like a quarter-mile jog as a warm-up, do some stretches, and then you do like 5 100-yard sprints, so 100 yards as fast as you can. And then you stop, and then you're done. That workout might take you 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're all done. That can be a lot more productive for a lot of people then, because it kind of mimics a Tabata workout too in a lot of ways. Sprinting does sprint workouts.
Yeah. Okay. We only have a few more minutes, but there was one other topic that I wanted to get your take on. And we kind of just started touching on it with the last thing we were talking about. The idea of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And like, if you don't get to the point of loving exercise, that, there's something wrong. And so I have kind of gone through this journey of both with diet and with exercise where, and I think you probably can relate to this, about pushing your body into unhealthy places, like pushing it too far and abusing your body. And getting yourself uncomfortable that way. And so I did that for a lot of years. And I got to the point where I was like, I need to respect my body. I need to listen to my body. And I need to, do things to make it healthier. But then I felt like I kind of swung too far the other direction, where it was like, oh, if I don't feel like working out, then I shouldn't work out. If I feel like eating XYZ, I should just eat it because that's what my body is asking for. And so like, it's a journey for me, and I don't think I'm completely there yet, but I'm trying to figure out the times where I should listen to my body and the times where I shouldn't listen to my body, and like how to manage that balance of, you know, saying I need to go exercise even when I don't feel like it, or, you know, my body is really broken down, I need to take a rest day, and like how to balance that, how to, I don't know, work through that in your brain, if you have any insights.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I don't think it's a question that has a simple answer, like at all. I mean, I would love to have like a, you know what? I just talked about that. I have like 3 things you can do. But it's not that true. Now, I can say a couple things. I think one, like, and this is a quote that I even have it on a coffee mug, and I think it speaks volumes. Is it says laziness is when you rest when no work's been done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you've been working really hard and you wake up one day and you're tired, you don't want to go work out, or maybe even 2 days straight, then yeah, that makes sense. That's resting. But if you like wake up and you're like, man, I don't feel like working out today, well, get over yourself. Go work out, right? Right. So like I would say that's the difference. Is like I would look at the past and how it's impacting the present. And so like if you look at the past and you haven't done anything, and the present you don't want to work out, you're being lazy. If you look at the past and you've been working out and you wake up and your body hurts and you need to rest and you're tired, then rest, right? Because now you're not being lazy, you're resting, right? So I say that's a good gauge for me. That's how I gauge that. Because there are days where like I wake up and like my legs are trashed, and so I have to like move my workouts around, and that's not laziness, because there's a reason I'm so tired. And sometimes when we're not used to working out, our body gets tired because it's just not used to being moved. And so don't get that mixed up, right? If you haven't like worked out consistently for 6 weeks and you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's because you're lazy. You know, go work out. And so I would say that's a big one, is like looking at the past, the recent past, and seeing how it's impacting your present. And are you being lazy, or are you truly trying to rest? If it's lazy, stop being lazy. If you really need to rest, then rest. I would say outside of that, like in terms of like, so like now we're talking about food. So that's training. Now we're talking about food.
Yeah.
I think this is where having a basic knowledge of nutrition, physiology, and knowing and having self-awareness is kind of like a trifecta there. So what I mean like having an unbiased understanding of food. So fats, carbs, proteins. Unbiased view. What do carbs do? Pros and cons. What does protein do? Pros and cons. What does fat do? Pros and cons. What makes me feel best? Like understanding those nuances. What makes me feel best? Not what does Joe Blow say? Not what does Lindsey say? Not what does John? What makes me feel best? Right? Like right. Understanding that. Okay. And then understanding physiology. So like if I'm really stressed out from something, I'm going to crave sweet things because my body wants glucose to get out of the stressful situation as fast as possible. It's a normal physiological response. Now, is this stress something that's happening internally that I need to deal with dietary changes? Or is it something that I can remove myself, AKA stressful work, a bad habit of not doing breath work after work? So like I just suck at stress management, right? So can I address that and it will go away? Or do I need to do dietary intervention? So understanding how your physiology works. And then also understanding yourself and what your stressors are and what your stress responses are. So like it's a delicate balance of those 3 things going on simultaneously that allow you to find the balance of like, because that's the thing is like you could wake up and go, oh, I really don't like oh my gosh, I'm like craving sugar like crazy today. Well, I don't want to eat carbs because carbs are bad. And I'm stressed, so I'm just going to eat some Lily's chocolate. And then because it doesn't really give you what you need, you eat like 3 bars of Lily's chocolate. And it's like, oh God, you know, and people are like, I don't understand why I'm struggling with this. It's because it tastes sweet. I'm like, actually, yes, you're not wrong. It's because your body wants the thing and you're so scared of the thing because you don't understand the thing that you go to the thing that you think is okay, which really doesn't give your body what it wants. And so it's unsatisfied. And so it wants more until it gets the thing that it feels like it needs. Yeah. And so like, yeah, right. Or like somebody wakes up that's empowered and is like, all right, man, we've been killing it. We've been carnivore for 7 days. This happened to me actually in January. I wake up, my HRV sucked. My resting heart rate was horrible. And I was like, okay, I need some fruit today. Like I know what I need. I'm not going to like shy around it and eat it. You know, I'm not going to like eat an obnoxious amount of food to try and avoid this. I know what I need. And I had a bowl of fruit and you know what? Everything went back down to normal. literally within a couple hours, right? Because like I know my body, right? Because I understand nutrition, I understand physiology, and I have self-awareness of myself. And so I think and I think what's really key for a lot of us that are listening is an unbiased understanding of nutrition. I think a lot of us are more biased than we think we are, because of the world we live in and because of the sphere of low carb health that we're in. And I think it hurts us more than it helps us. And I'm not even saying that you need to eat more protein. You might be a high fat person. You might just thrive on high fat. That's great, but you should still understand protein and carbs. You might not ever eat carbs, but you still need to understand them in an unbiased, healthy way. You might eat carb cycle, right? You might not eat a lot of fat, but you need to understand fat and the role it plays in your body. Like we need to have an unbiased understanding of nutrition, and then understanding our physiology, right? Because people are like, oh, you're craving sweet because they're addicting. And I'm like, kind of. You're craving sweets because you're stressed the hell out. You need to eat something that's going to calm your cortisol. Or you're gonna like keep wanting to binge that food. So it's like understanding properly your physiology and your stress responses and your hormones, and then ultimately self-awareness about yourself. And it's that.
And it's a process. It's like
I drew a triangle for it.
You don't just arrive like, oh, okay, it's like continually learning and continually listening to your body. And for us women, it's like being aware of like where we are at in our cycles. And, if it's like 2 days before, my cycle and I'm like, I'm craving chocolate. It's like, okay, well, that's some information that's helpful.
It checks out.
Yeah. And so
exactly.
So you can either, take steps knowing that that's what's going on, or it's easier to say, okay, I know I'm just craving it because of that. And it's kind of easier to, put it aside or whatever. But having all of that information is just so helpful instead of being like a victim. Because I feel like I've been there where it's just like, I have a craving and the craving says nothing will get better until you give into this craving. And then you give into the craving and you have the shame. And then that spurs on all, eating more or, I'll just get back on it tomorrow. But when you can understand I'm craving this because of XYZ, and either I need to make some lifestyle changes to, not let those cravings come up like that, or, maybe I just need to, like you said, feed myself something a little bit different. And then that will take care of whatever's going on. And that you don't have the shame aspect when you do that, when you're like, I'm eating this fruit because this is what my body needs. And it's not as likely to end up as a, Ben and Jerry's episode. So yeah, I love that. Just having all of that information. And like I said, it is a process. And we've all three of us have had our own process of, getting to where we are. And all you have to do is, do the work. You just keep putting in the work of trying to figure it out. And then you end up where you end up. Yeah. Okay. Well, we are over an hour here, so we should sign off, but it has been a really great hour chatting. I have learned a lot. I have a whole bunch of notes. I'm sure I will be messaging you over the next 8 weeks as I, go on my own little journey. I don't ever expect to be a marathon runner or anything like that, but just, pushing myself out of my comfort zone and doing something that I've never done before. And, we'll see how it goes. And it is very helpful, to have people like you who have, made that transition from, not being a runner to being a runner. And just hearing your experience and your wisdom has been wonderful. So
absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Really, it's been fun. I enjoyed it.
Good. Is there anything coming up that you want to share?
Nothing I can do now. I can just say keep your eyes peeled on Lindsey and Neely, and they will have some things for you. I can't talk about just yet. Teaser. Yeah.
Yeah. And I put.
Is it gonna do it? No.
Oh no! There you go.
Hey.
I put Jonathan's different links down in the description of the video, so you can check him out on website, on Instagram, all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's also on my live stream as well. All of his stuff.
Sweet.
So check out his products. They are delicious.
They are.
It's ridiculous how good they
taste as well.
Oh, just wait. You think those taste good? Just wait.
Sure.
Just wait.
We're here for it. We're here for it.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you again for Coffee Chat next week. Same time, same place.